Hey, everybody, I'm really excited about my guest. He's been here before, and I stumbled upon NYRMA, the New York Roots Music Association, a number of years ago at an American Legion in Huntington Village, and I was blown away. And they do a number of shows, and they've got a show coming up, and I want to welcome Steve Prisco to the Long Island Sound. Welcome, Steve. Good to see you.
Steve, thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Yeah, so why don't you give us a little background? I find NYRMA just an interesting organization of musicians. So give us some history, how the things come together, why you guys do it. And I tell you, I always talk about the wellspring of talent here on Long Island, and there's a high concentration at NYRMA for sure.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. Well, I'll do the short version.
Okay.
Many years ago when I had a rockabilly band.
Okay.
And it was in January, we had a date that fell on Elvis's birthday. So I thought it'd be fun to invite a bunch of the guys from the rockabilly scene to come up and sing a song.
Okay.
And, it wasn't that many, maybe 4 or 5 guys. But what I noticed right away was that we had a bigger crowd than we usually get.
Right.
So I said, a little thing went off in my head. I said, we'll do this again next year, but I'm going to invite 50 people. And we literally did that. It was a little chaotic. And we did it for charity. But of course, it just worked. It was like, everybody brought a few of their friends.
And had fun.
So then that became what we call the Elvis show. And it became it ran for about 25 years.
Really? Okay.
Of putting on this Elvis tribute show, which only had one rule, that there would be no impersonators. And we just branched outside of the rockabilly scene to local musicians, basically anybody who wanted to come up and sing a song, to be honest.
Nice.
Because we found out, that's another thing I found out, was that if they weren't somebody who found themselves on the stage that often, they brought twice the amount of people because their friends couldn't believe they were doing it. So
nice.
that had a great run. It actually continued on through when I met Tom Ryan, and Tom and I had formed a band called the Blackguards.
Okay.
And they kind of got folded into the Elvis show. And we were, at that time, getting a little disillusioned with playing music on Long Island.
Yes.
We weren't an original band. It was one of the only bands that I had been in that really wasn't focused on original music.
Okay.
But it's just tough. I mean, you're at the mercy of the clubs. For the most part, they don't pay well. The bar scene.
They're still paying what they paid musicians in the 70s, for God's sakes.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Exactly. And as you get older, like me, the idea of staying out to 2 a.m. just loses some appeal. So we put our heads together and kind of riffed off of the Elvis show and said, what if we do something like this, but we'll do a theme type of show. We'll have as many people as makes sense.
Right.
And the concept was a little different. It was like, we're going to have a different singer on every song. So right off the bat, we said, okay, that'd be fun.
Right,
so we're doing 25 songs. We have 25 different singers. And then we would put the band together based on the theme. If it was a country thing and we needed a pedal steel, we'd find a pedal steel player. If we needed a horn section, find a horn section.
Right.
And what that did, it built up this stable of musicians. And to the point where right now we have we can't put everybody in every show.
Right.
That's impossible. And that was it. And we sailed, and it really took off. We ended up finding a few places to have it, because that was another part of the process, was finding a place where we could kind of do it on our own terms.
Sure.
We want to start at 8:00. We want to make sure there's seats available, because like I said, sometimes our crowd can be a little older. And we ended up very, very lucky and landing after a few other places at the Legion in Huntington, which have been a great partner. They actually put in a sound system based on our recommendations. They built a soundboard for it. They're terrific. We came together with them at a time when they were just renovating the place.
Nice.
And trying to make it into a destination so they could rent for parties and things like that. So they loved the fact that they would get, a couple hundred people in the room and looking at the place and saying, this is kind of nice. And they have a lovely bar. So it worked out great.
Yeah, I tell you, from an audience point of view, when you say American Legion, 1,000 images go through your head of a crappy hall,
right?
And this is quite the opposite. It's got a beautiful bar. It's got a beautiful setup, plenty of parking. And I saw you guys. I think you did a Neil Young show one year.
Mm-hmm.
And the last show I went to was the duet show, which
Mm-hmm.
blew me away. Just there were so many moments. The father and son, the Cat Stevens, and
Right.
I forgot who did that.
Andy and Cole. Mm-hmm.
Andy and Cole Fortier. What I loved about that show, there was something for everybody. From songs from Grease to Cat Stevens, and you name it.
Mm-hmm.
It really was. It was a happening. They have no other way to explain it. Anyway, one of the reasons is we want to tell more people about it and get your tickets early because it's
Yeah.
got to sell out. Every time I've been there, it's jammed, right?
Yeah, we've basically hit our mark all the time. We try to keep it so it's comfortable in the place. We don't want to, you know. But yeah, no, we've been fortunate. The COVID took a little wind out of our sails, as it did for everybody, and we've been kind of ramping back up. We've cut down the number of shows we do. It's just a lot on everybody, But
What do you do? What do you do? 2 a year, roughly, or it
right
varies?
now, it's about that. It's about 2 a year. Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
And just fitting it into everyone's schedule. I mean, you're doing it in the summer, and that's when a lot of people usually gig and play around.
Yeah.
And you've got musicians of all ages. It's just not the seniors.
Right. Oh, yeah. Yeah. We're constantly looking for new faces, and we'll have a few on this show. Although one of the new faces on this show is probably going to be among the oldest singers we've ever had on stage.
Really?
Not counting myself and a few of the others. Yeah. Very excited about that.
All right, so give me a little behind the scenes. How do you decide on the show you're going to do? I can imagine just putting the show together is like herding cats. How do you come up?
Yes, it is.
Is it democratic, or it's just you and Tom, or you pretend to listen to Tom, ignore him, and do what you want, or how does it usually?
No, it's semi-democratic.
Okay.
We actually tried a long time ago saying maybe we should open this up to the whole gang. And it was a terrible failure because it was just, you can't have that. But Tom
Right, sure.
and our other partner, Gary Dawson, and along with Tom's wife, Heidi, that's kind of the cabal that puts things together. Of course, people make suggestions all the time, and so what will happen is we'll just start to have a series of meetings. We'll talk about some themes, sometimes things that you might have, woken up and said, "Hey, that's a great idea." And then when you're talking about it, you realize, that's not such a good idea.
Put that one aside for the moment, right?
Yeah. The theme shows, like you had mentioned, the duet show. And we've done shows like that where it's not based around a single artist. And those shows are always a lot of fun to put together because you set a basic framework, but then you have basically, all kinds of different things to pick from. You're not in one bucket. You're doing
Right.
country, you're doing rock, you're doing, folk, you're doing, all kinds of stuff. And so those are a lot of fun to do. And I think over the history, maybe about 50-50 of those type of themes to artist-based themes.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, we've done Neil Young, we did the band, we've done John Lennon. Our first show was a Kinks show. We've done, quite a few of those. So this time around is one of our gut. And he said, I'm thinking Fleetwood Mac.
All right.
And it was like, Now, we had been, over the last couple of years, we've kind of fell into this 3-set, 10 songs in each set program.
Rhythm. Okay.
Because, like I said, we've established a good core of musicians. And we
Right.
do try to get as many people in as possible. But for the members of the band, like I said, the singer, you're coming up, you're singing one song. Band has to learn a little bit more, put a little more work into it. So we kind of came up with the idea of using 3 different bands over the night because we have the players.
Right.
It lightens the load, So as soon as Howie said Fleetwood Mac, my brain just jumped to, I can see what we can do because Fleetwood Mac has this incredibly diverse story, this history.
Yeah. The pre-Lindsey Buckingham Fleetwood Mac and the post, right?
Well, there was we defined it as the Peter Green,
Okay.
Danny Curran era, the beginning. Then there was the Bob Welch era where him and Christine, that was like Bare Trees and Penguins and Heroes Are Hard to Find. And then there was the Buckingham Nicks, the big hits, stringer hits in the 70s. So we threw that together and started putting that around and figuring it out. then it turned out that one of our regular drummers wasn't able to make the gig. So we decided to bring it down to 2 sets. And all the way, I've been very excited about this because I'm a super fan of the original
Oh, okay.
Fleetwood Mac.
Right, right.
This is crazy, but I'm going to play in the entire first set, which is going to be focused on those early years.
Oh, cool.
And we're actually playing 2 songs in that set that I played with my very first band when
Oh,
I was
wow.
16 years old
A
at
few
the Huntington
decades
Teen
ago.
Center. Yes. Yeah. So it's blowing my mind that I'm having a chance to do
Come
these
full,
songs again
yeah,
and
full
come full
circle.
circle.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah. So it's going to be exciting. I mean, and we're trying to get that message across because, even when you talk about the new Fleetwood Mac, that's 40 years ago,
Yeah,
38 years ago.
right.
So it's not, I mean,
Well,
and they just keep,
what's interesting? Sorry to interrupt you. What I find interesting is, this is the realm of the tribute band, but
Mhm.
you're putting a twist on it. You're not, just hitting a
It-
section and dressing up like them and that sort of thing. But you're doing
yeah,
like this
yeah.
homage over time, and it's an education to me too because I didn't really know
Yeah,
early Fleetwood Mac, right?
yeah, it was real important to me that it was going to be that we were going to do the entire, as much as the history. Of course, the Buckingham Nicks thing, that's going to be a big chunk of the second set.
Sure.
If you come to the show wanting to hear the hits, you're going to hear them. I'd be surprised if anybody would say, "Oh, they didn't play my favorite song," but
Right, right.
I think we are going to do that. Second set's definitely a little longer, but yeah, it had to be that way, especially because, like I said, this band, that early band, they meant as much to me as any band did. Back
Yeah,
in the day.
how would you categorize them as a real blues band, or what would you say?
They started off as a pure blues band.
Okay,
Peter Green replaced Eric Clapton in John Mayall's Blues Breakers.
okay, okay.
And that was a tough position to fill because that's how Clapton got jettisoned. That was the whole Clapton is God thing. Somebody in London sprayed that on a wall. That was because of his work with John Mayall in the
Oh,
Blues
okay,
Breakers.
gotcha.
Peter Green came in and he really was able to, take the mantle.
Okay,
And he soon decided he wanted to have his own band. Now, in that band, the John Mayall band at the time was Mick Fleetwood and John McVie.
okay. All right, gotcha.
So Peter Green goes to them and says, I want to do my own thing. I want you guys to be in it. And as a way of enticing them to do it, he says, I'm going to call the band Fleetwood Mac. He's naming the band after these 2 guys in hope that they come with him.
Right, right, right.
Mick Fleetwood said yes. John McVie held out a little bit because he thought the John Mayall gig was a better gig.
Yeah, it was
But he
established, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but he ended up joining in time for their first album. So, they added another guitar player, this guy, Jeremy Spencer, a slide
Okay,
guitar player, like in the Elmore James style. And yeah, their first couple albums were straight out blues.
okay,
But Peter Green turned out that besides being a great guitar player, also is a good songwriter.
okay.
And he wrote Black Magic Woman, which most people know as a Santana song. They think it's a
Yeah,
Santana song because it came
right.
hit years later,
Okay.
but that was a Fleetwood Mac song. And they had their first #1 single in England with an instrumental called Albatross,
Okay.
which is a beautiful song. And we'll be playing that. And that song, John Lennon, George Harrison both say how that influenced the song Sun King on Abbey Road.
Hmm.
And so they had a lot of influence and they progressed rapidly from a blues band to a really kind of hard rock band
Okay.
with songs like Oh Well, which was later covered by, I forget who covered, a lot of people covered that, but Oh Well is a template, a riff song like you wouldn't have Walk This Way or a few other
Hmm.
classic guitar riffs if it wasn't for that song.
Nice, nice.
And Green Manalishi, which I think Judas Priest, I believe, covered that later on.
Wow.
So they were doing a lot of great stuff. And then they decided they'd bring in this other guitar player, another young guy named Danny Kerwin, another
Okay.
fantastic guitar player and a really good songwriter himself. And that band played it till about from 1967 to about 1971. And along the way there, this gal, Christine Perfect, who was from a band called Chicken Shack,
Okay.
would play piano occasionally on their records, usually uncredited.
Right.
And then she married John McVie, and she became Christine McVie.
Okay.
And I don't know if I'm boring you with the whole Fleetwood Mac story.
I find it intriguing, especially the
Okay.
morphing and how things came
Yeah.
together and how
Yep.
they influenced other artists and,
Yeah.
and covers. It's pretty amazing. No, it's good.
And
Good stuff.
then like in the classic tales of, you know, rock bands, drugs, alcohol,
The breakup.
mental illness.
Yep.
Peter Green kind of lost sight of what he wanted to do and decided that he thought the band should give away all their money.
Okay. All right.
And the rest of the band really didn't
Buy
like
into
that.
that idea.
So he just left.
It's like
he
that.
quit the band. He quit
Wow.
the band. So they carried on without him and made Christine a permanent member.
Okay.
And they put out at that time they put out, and this is like 1970, they put out what is my favorite Fleetwood Mac album of all time, Kiln House. Here it is.
Oh, cool. All right.
That's
Show
my
and tell.
original copy from
Nice.
1970. And in one of the really odd stories, classic story, they're on a sold out tour of the United States. And I have tickets to see them, second row seats at the Fillmore East.
Wow. Wow.
And
All right.
I cannot wait to see this band. I mean, I was a little bummed that I'm not seeing Peter Green, but I love this record. So they're at the Fillmore East. Great night. Van Morrison opened.
Oh my gosh.
1971 Van Morrison.
Wow.
Killer.
Right.
So the band comes out on stage, and the first person I notice is Peter Green saying,
What?
"What's going on here?"
Yeah.
And they start playing and basically didn't stop for a couple hours.
Okay.
Just jamming. I was like, okay, this is
Songs or just jamming?
odd. They were hitting a few riffs here and there, but mostly jamming.
Okay.
So what had happened was either the night before or 2 nights before, they're in California. I think they were playing, one of those famous clubs in LA.
The Troubadour or?
Yeah, maybe it might have been the Troubadour.
Okay.
And Jeremy Spencer, the guitar player, one of the guitar players, went out for a magazine and didn't come back. He joined a religious group, just like that.
Wow.
And so they had 6 dates left, and the manager, they're all sold out, and their manager spent, I heard, like 10 hours on the phone with Peter Green, convincing him to
Begging.
fly over, do the show. He had one, he would do it on one condition,
Okay.
that they just jammed.
Oh my God.
And that's what they did. And yeah. And I just read very recently that their last show on that tour was on Long Island. I can't remember the room, and I didn't know about it at the time. Otherwise, I would have been there. But apparently that night they did a 4-hour version of Black Magic Woman. Whether that's just a legend or not, I don't know.
So how'd you feel? I mean, Bring Me Back is like just shocking disappointment or mixed feelings, or what was it for you?
I remember me and my friends were not really happy about the way the night went.
Right.
Like at one hand, I'm seeing Peter Green, and he's great, but you could see that the band was like,
Almost phoning it in, right?
yeah, they were not having a good time.
Wow. All right. So promise me. So on this show, this NYRMA show, by the way, we should talk about it on August 17th, right?
Mhm.
You're not going to do a 4-hour jam at any point.
No,
It's not planned. Okay. And if one of
No,
the
none of
guitars
that.
kind of keeps going, you know how
yeah,
you look at the sound guy, you give that look and that nod.
yeah,
I've seen that. My wife gives that
Oh,
to
yeah.
me when I'm singing, one of these.
yeah. No, we'll be playing a lot of those songs.
Oh, that's great.
Definitely looking forward to it. And, and like I said, the band then continued on. An American guy, Bob Welch,
Okay.
who they hired without ever playing with them.
Okay.
A friend told them about him, and they listened to a tape, and they said, okay. And they hired him. And that was the band that Bob Welch, he was a good songwriter as well, and a front man. And they had hits with a bunch of his songs, Sentimental Lady,
Oh, yeah.
and Hypnotized.
Sure.
And Christine was writing some great songs at that point, which are definitely the bridge between the two bands. I mean, her songs sounded like the same kind of stuff you'd hear on Rumors or that first Fleetwood Mac album with the Buckingham Nicks. And that went on for a while. And then, just as a funny story, at one point, they weren't selling any records, really. And they were thinking of breaking up. Their manager, though, was going to have nothing of that. And he decides that he owns the band. He owns the band name. And he sends a totally different band out on the road to finish the rest of their dates.
Holy mackerel.
So people are showing up at Fleetwood Mac show and going, who are these people?
Yeah, it's like another version of the Four Tops, the six rendition type of bullshit.
So
right?
yeah, so lawsuits followed, of course, and Mick got back the band name, and he vowed from that day on, which is true, that he would be the manager, and you know, they're not going to deal with this kind of stuff anymore. Then and it kind of energized them, that because they had a couple more records that got some nice airplay and acclaim, but they felt like they were spinning their wheels. And now they're relocated to LA, and Mick Fleetwood is, I think, I forget what studio it was out in California, legendary sound recording studio.
Okay.
He was checking it out for the next album. And the guy goes, well, let me play you something. And he plays them some of the tracks from a record that he had engineered, which was the Buckingham Nicks.
Right.
Which is the one that they're just re-releasing. I don't know if you saw that in the news. Yeah, they're just re-releasing this record. And he was enthralled by it. He said, who is this guy? And he happened to be in the building, so they got together. And again, Mick invites him, without playing with him, to join the band. And he said, I have one condition.
Right.
That my girlfriend comes with me.
Yeah.
And
it's not Yoko, so.
No. So, well, you know, we won't even go there. I mean, you could spend a whole night talking about the relationships.
Well, you know what's so funny? It's so funny from the outside management screwing over the band to the drama coming from outside now from internally. You know, like a soap opera between, you know, the McVies and their marriage breaking up and still playing together. And what's I always find so unique about that, and hearing the stories of different people I've interviewed, is how the music itself can be a common denominator. We can all agree on the music part. It's just the before and after that get kind of kooky. So, hey, I'm really looking forward to this night on August 16th. By the way, I want to tell anybody who's watching and listening to this, hey, please comment below. You got some tidbits that we haven't covered about Fleetwood Mac. I'd love to hear. I answer every comment, and we will have the link for the tickets in the description. So look below here somewhere and you'll see it. If you're hearing this and it's sold out, hey, well, you got to listen to the Long Island Sound podcast more often.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You got anything to add, Steve, before we sign off?
No. It's just like I said, I think it's going to be a killer show. We're going to have like a lot of the old familiar faces. We got some new people coming on, which is always a pleasure for everybody. And like I said, you're going to hear the hits if that's what and you might be surprised. I'm thinking we're going to get a nice mix of people who, like me, remember the old band or had stuck with them their entire career. I'm sure there are people that have. And I think it's going to be a bang up night, and I'm not going to reveal anything.
There's a great vibe of camaraderie, and it's definitely because it's music lovers mixed with musicians in the audience, you know. Yeah. So,
and I can't say much about it, but we're going to have one little surprise that I think everybody will enjoy.
A mystery. All right. Hey, I love it. I love it. Hey, everybody, check it out. It's in Huntington at the American Legion. It's on August 16th. What time is this? Probably like 8 o'clock at night.
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock.
Doors open at 7.
On a Saturday night, and looking to have a lot of fun. All right, everybody. As I say, Steve, by the way, thanks for joining us. And as I say, keep your spirits high, be generous with your joy, and let the music take you on a journey. Be well, everybody.